Now, from Omaha's news leader, this is KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.
As summer approaches, many feel the need to find that summer getaway. But as fuel costs rise and thus the cost of travel, some are reconsidering their options. Thanks for joining us on this week's Chronicle. I'm Bill Shammer. A study from NerdWallet says 45% of Americans still plan on taking a flight to get away. 42% of Americans say they'd rather just ditch the idea altogether. But there's a third option, a staycation or a close-cation. Let's lay out some of the reasons why 42% of Americans aren't traveling this year. The war with Iran spiked gas prices by almost 50%. They've gone from an average of less than $3 a gallon nationally to more than $4.50 a gallon. Experts say those prices will still rise as the war continues with no clear end in sight. But once there is light at the end of the timeline tunnel, prices may drop.
Once we see a little bit more clarity in the timing and the scope of any agreement, oil prices would likely start going down noticeably.
A lot of this has to do with the Strait of Hormuz. Nearly 20% of the world's oil supply is cut off right now. Despite prices, a record 45 million Americans did travel over Memorial Day weekend. That's according to AAA, with 3.6 million of them flying. Analysts tell ABC airfare has risen by 20% in just the last year. Those prices are not expected to fall as quickly as gas prices when this war is over. For those who plan on flying sometime this summer, you'll likely end up going through the changes at Omaha's Epley Airfield. Let's take a look at the latest. Changes were made to the Central Pavilion. Crews will add concession spaces and the glass exterior is now finished. The baggage handling system is also taking shape. There's now a second floor ticketing counter with screening and sorting on the first floor. Officials say this will make things more efficient. Finally, we're starting to see a clear picture of what the concourse will look like. Crews are finishing up the gates, bathrooms, and other interior fixtures. Just remember, have some patience if you're flying out of Omaha this summer. We mentioned earlier that 45% of Americans plan to travel. What about Nebraskans and Iowans? Nebraskans say 45% plan to travel despite the increase in gas prices and inflation. Iowans are above the national trend. 53% say they plan on taking a trip this summer. Let's dive more into the facts. Here's my conversation with AAA's Brian Ortner. Brian Ortner with AAA joins us now. Brian, we just saw the stats. About half the people in Iowa and Nebraska plan to take a vacation of some sort. Are you seeing more people leaning toward those driving vacations this summer?
Yeah, the demand has remained strong as we saw Memorial Day and before the gas price issue hit, the demand for travel was going up. And higher gas prices and inflation aren't really affecting those as much as we might think it would. More people are just adjusting their plans and not the priorities to make sure those trips happen.
Do you know why that is? Why people are still keeping those trips on the books?
Well, I think it's the feeling of wanting to travel, to do those things, to make those memories with your family and friends. We've seen that over the last few years. I know we're 6 years out from the COVID pandemic, but it's still a topic that's relevant. When you talk about things that people did and the changes of their lifestyle, travel and memories were the biggest things that came out of that. And we continue to see that as travel trends continue to increase each year and each holiday during the busy travel season. And this time around, it's really just adjusting for those increased prices. People are now budgeting more for fuel and cutting back on the extras. They may be planning fewer road trips or choosing destinations closer to home, and even rethinking if they're going to drive or fly. So lots of different options for people to take those travel opportunities and make it to fit their situation the best.
We see those TSA numbers. They're still high. I mean, people are still taking to the air this summer, right?
Yeah, they are. And, some nice things. If people are booking ahead, they were able to lock in those prices before we saw gas prices increase. But still, there are still some deals out there, especially if you are booking ahead. And that's probably one of the items of recommendation to help save on summer travel, is to book early, secure that pricing, secure that availability, consider traveling on different dates, not your busy dates and the weekends, because, some people enjoy going out on vacation Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, where crowds aren't as bad. You still get to do some great stuff. And if you're going to a great, beach destination or something like that, less people to interfere with during that time. So stay flexible with your travel dates, consider staying closer to home if possible. But again, just do what's best for you and your situation.
So people are planning those driving vacations. Fuel has increased, I don't know, what, 50% in the last 2 months or so. What are some ways they can cut down on other expenses?
Well, if you're taking those road trips, a couple things you can do, and we can say this any time of year, anytime you're traveling, anytime you're taking a road trip, get that routine maintenance done on your vehicle, surprisingly. Just something as simple as having the proper air inflation on your tires can have an impact on your fuel efficiency in your car. But get that oil change, get your battery checked, make sure you avoid the hassles that may come with driving that we've all experienced at one time or another. On the road trips, pack your snacks, pack your water ahead of time, avoid those incidentals that you might pick up along the way. Pack a lunch if you can. I mean, we all like a sandwich along the way instead of stopping and eating out. And then again, drive the speed limit. Those speed limits, there's engineering that make up those numbers of why the speed limits are what they are. They help with your fuel efficiency in your vehicle.
And, they call it the 100 deadliest days of summer. Try not to be part of that statistic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The 100 deadliest days for teen drivers is something we have to be concerned about and be aware of all summer long.
We have seen those fuel prices kind of crawl back just a little bit. Oil prices are coming down a bit, but it's amazing. They're not crawling back as fast as we saw them shoot up. Do you think that's a trend that'll continue this summer?
I would hope that as you can continue to see the markets decrease when the cost of crude oil dropping, that we'll continue to see those prices at the pump go down. There's a saying, I can't take credit for it, but I've heard it and I've relayed it. Gas prices, when they go up like a rocket. When they go down like a feather. And there's a lot of factors into that. Obviously, companies are buying fuel at certain prices and stocking their inventories, and they have to get through some of that before they can buy the lower cost fuel that will transfer to cost at the pump. So that's one of the factors. And the demand over the summer always has an increase on prices going up over the summer, and then switching to that summer blend, which helps evaporation on fuel, helps it evaporate less, in less time than we would in the winter months because of the heat. Those things all impact prices. But if we see the markets continue to go down, if we see the Strait of Hormuz open up and supply being again more free flowing, that would hopefully translate to money saving at the pump.
Somebody's sitting there at home watching this morning and they're saying, should I go? Should I not go? What advice would you give them?
I would say if you can do it and make the changes, go. Make those memories would be the best thing, but definitely look and see what your options are. Find those helpful hints that'll get you on your way. And even if you're not going somewhere and you just have a busy, active sports schedule over the summer, carpool with family and friends is a great opportunity as well. If you're all going to the same place, why not ride together? You're going to the same place, coming home at the same time. Just find those simple things that can help save some money. Staycations aren't a bad thing, but getting away for a little bit is also rejuvenating for us as individuals.
It's amazing this time of year. We all feel that sense to just get away, just for a little bit.
Yeah, no school.
Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Bill.
Still ahead on KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle, we sit down with one of Omaha's premier attractions to see what's new for this summer at Omaha's Henry Doorly Zoo.